Meeting to order at this time. Present on the step is myself, Mr. Lawson, other members of the council. Items number 1 through 5 have been delayed for 2 weeks. And at that time, we'll hear from the administration in regards to these items. And Mr. Chuck Johnson.
Johnson, do you know why those matters are being delayed?
Yeah, the chairman of the legal committee, he's out today, and he asked for them to be delayed because he had some discussion on them, and he would ask that they be brought up in 2 weeks.
What about 5 through 8?
5 through 8? No,
6, 7, and 8. I'm sorry.
6, 7, and 8. Yes.
Okay, items number 1 through 5 will be delayed for 2 weeks and hear from the legal committee in that respect at the next legal committee meeting. Item number 6.
Mr. Johnson, before you go forward, I just want to say the professional services agreements that are listed in 1 through 5 are not new contracts. Those are all renewals of existing contracts, and it's been the policy of the city attorney's office, well, since Mr. Sanders took over, to have all attorneys who work for the city under contract. Now, I want the council to understand that these lawyers, particularly the ones in city court, they are not going to have a contract if we don't act on these matters today.
What the wishes of the committee and the council of this?
Can you do extend the contract for a month?
Yeah. Until it is done.
I think some action needs to be taken.
Okay. Well, I move that we extend the contract for a month for the existing contractors that are listed here.
I'll second it. We'll move the second that this contract be extended for a month, and we'll come back in 2 weeks to hear in committee.
That'd just be the ones in 1, 2, which ones are we talking about? 1, 2, and 3?
Existing contract.
All of them
on the existing contracts that's printed before you.
In city court.
In city court.
City court? Okay.
Correct. Okay, item number 6, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Caddo Parish to allow the purchase of vehicles from the city. Book item number 36. At this time, we hear from the administration.
Yes, Mr. Johnson, that is a request from the administration to enter into a cooperative endeavor with Caddo Parish for the maybe the last 10, 15 years. Yes, Mr. Despino, they've purchased vehicles on our contract. I believe the dealership is Hicks and Hopkins. They have a very good rate. They sell about 700, 800 cars a year, and it's cheaper for Caddo Parish to actually buy their cars on our contract than to buy it in their own parish. And that's why we're asking that we do a formal cooperative endeavor. In the past, we haven't had one. It's been my policy since I took over to have contracts in place instead of word of mouth or existing policies. I'd like to have a formal contract, and that's why we're asking for a cooperative endeavor, which is essentially just going to continue what has happened for the last 10, 15 years.
We've heard from the administration in regards to this report. Can we get a motion to that respect? Second, recommended to the full council. Item number 7, to consider final adoption of an ordinance amending the 2000-2008 operating budget to create positions in the city council office.
Move.
Second, item number 37. So,
what are these positions and how are they allowed? It's not in the, I didn't read it in the.
It's just amending the budget now. You hadn't created positions, you're putting the money in the budget for the positions.
Well, I mean, we're putting the money in the budget for what positions?
I know one that...
Where'd this come from?
I know one that was just...
just 1 minute. One thing, when I conduct this meeting, I would like anyone who would like to speak to be recognized by the chair. We won't have a meeting that's gonna get out of order. I would like, and respect each other, for one person to speak at a time. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Lawson, then Mr. Fowler.
I'm scared to talk right now.
That man got a hammer.
You were looking at me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know one in particular that we talked about quite some time, and I think we're at the point where we need to do it, is an auditor. And I think whether it's contractual or not, we certainly need the budget amount. I've talked with our CPA firm and the past, and they certainly felt that it's something that would be appropriate for a city to have a $217+ million budget and not have anyone with internal audit functions is probably not very common. So I don't think that that certainly would cost the taxpayers any money. I think it's something that's certainly warranted.
I don't disagree with the position. I don't know if we can, if we can put them under the council's purview.
Okay, Mr. Marshall, then Ms. Hobbs.
I think the charter states that we're supposed to have an internal audit. We don't have one. And to me, it's prudent on us when we start talking about this kind of money. If the person can find money that will save us money and save taxpayers money, that's what it's for.
I agree.
And so, I don't have a problem with it.
I think we need
Ms. Lawson.
I do think that we're going to develop some RFP or something of that nature to look at interested firms that may be able to come in and perform this function.
Mayor Roy.
Article or Section 213 of the city charter states that all proposed ordinances shall be introduced in writing and in the form required for final adoption. This has been going for 3 weeks. I've made several requests as to what it is. It went and it was introduced 3 weeks ago, introduced, never went through committee discussion until today for final adoption. And in the book, there is no document that suggests what these are for, no line item for a budget, no discussion of what they are. I believe that the charter requires that it be in the form for final adoption. By the council's own rules, that form requires that it be in the book. Now, at times that's relaxed for different things, for the administration and the council, but for something as serious as creating a position that doesn't currently exist, the administration for budgetary purposes, which we're required to do under the charter, and for just the citizens getting a right to know that a position's being created and that there's never been a public discussion of exactly what the position is for and does, including the city's administration, who has no idea what this is and has been asking for 3 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, for an explanation of what this is and has received exactly zero. No explanation from the governing authority of the city as to what this is. The charter requires just such not occur. It requires that this be done where we all know it is not in my book that I got today. There's a blank fact sheet that has the same title that was just read, no further discussion. And that goes for number 8 to the next item. I also want to point out that Mr. Fowler pulled those items, I thought, several weeks ago to send them to committee for discussion, and yet they come back up in 2 weeks after being pulled. I think the citizens should know that that's how business is being conducted. And I just think it shouldn't be conducted that way, and I'm going to bring it up every time that something violates the charter. And I see your hand, Mr. Marshall. I know you want to talk after me. I'd like to say this. You made a comment in the paper about how we're arguing about too many things lately. I apologize for if it seems there's too much argument to all of you, but I am not going to apologize for following the charter. I'm not going to apologize for that. Mr. Marshall stated in the paper that we're arguing about petty things like the charter. I think the charter is the definition of not being a petty thing. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Marshall, then Mr. Hobbs.
Number one, this is committee. Am I right?
Correct.
This is not for council. So it's brought in committee. Now it's in here for discussion. Mayor,
But where's the ordinance?
Okay, one at a time, please.
but I'm saying, you know, that this is being brought here and it's being discussed. It's not, you know.
What are these positions?
Right.
Okay, Councilman Hobbs.
All we're doing at this point is amending the budget to put the money there. Okay, well, you can come back, you can always come back and state the position. The money, I mean, in the ordinance, the money's put there. That's always amending the capital budget to add X amount of dollars into the council fund for positions. Okay, then when you get ready to fill the positions, you can always come and define what you're doing.
Are we gonna notify the public of what we're gonna spend their money on? We're gonna tell them?
That's correct.
We're gonna hire lawyers?
Just 1 minute.
No, we know we're not hiring lawyers.
Who will we hire?
Mr. Lawson just said the internal auditor.
2 internal auditors?
Who said 2?
I mean,
It says positions, plural, Mr. Hobbs, and it doesn't list the line item amount for the budget in a monetary amount.
You're at that stage yet. All the stages that is, you.
Just 1 minute. You know, this meeting is not, we're not gonna get out of hand in conducting this meeting. Mr. Lawson.
You're saying that the dollar amount should be placed in the ordinance.
And the position amount.
That's what the charter states, that the money should be placed in there?
No, the charter states, again, it shall be introduced in writing and in the form required for final adoption. By the council's obligation, this isn't in the form for final
But
adoption.
you mean that the money should have been in here so the taxpayers know we're spending, right?
No, that should be a discussion of what the jobs
have
are.
a right to know.
But the blank should be filled out in the fact sheets, is what you're saying.
Okay, Mr. Silver.
No, I'm not
Okay,
finished.
Mr. Lawson, then Mr. Silver.
The blank should be filled out in the fact sheets. And this convenient referring to the charter that I hear administration frequently do, I want to reference book item, and I think as I read this correctly, it's an ordinance to hire someone to look at the historical preservation district. If I go to the book item, if I recall, it's book item number 35, and book item 35 does not show any dollar amount on this ordinance.
I think that was passed, and if it wasn't, Mr. Lawson.
Well, was any dollar amount? Was any dollar amount on it?
We passed it.
Was any dollar amount?
I don't know, Mr. Lawson, I don't prepare.
Was any dollar amount?
The city council doesn't.
Turn the mic on, please. Any dollar amount?
The city doesn't prepare.
But you looked at this, but you didn't look at that.
No, sir. No, sir, Mr. Lawson, you're talking about creating positions versus signing a contract.
An ordinance, two ordinance.
All contracts have to be.
Two ordinance, right?
Is that right?
And 2 contracts.
I'm not.
Where the figures, another one? Okay.
We'll do this forever.
I'm finished, Mr. Silver.
I'm a great believer in, and I mentioned this since the council, which is a relatively short time, that when I see clean sheets like this, and I mentioned it to Cecil, who's so many, I said, please ask the administration to put something here for this, otherwise I don't see how you can take a blank check. That's for 35, and I feel the same way for 36. I think it's very loosely catched, and I think you don't have a final passage, I think first you should have a discussion to see what the proposals are. I think you should talk to a fellow like Crutchfield to see what you're ordering. I think you should do it with your own order and administration, then come back with some recommendations. I think that'd be good fertile. And you can't run a business with blank pages. I said the same thing when they asked us to approve a budgetary deal before they're taking the bid at 3 o'clock. There's no way you can take a bid at 3 and approve it at 3:02. We're not that smart. I think these things should be delayed and worked on, then come back with a comprehensive presentation.
One last one. Show me any details on any attorneys that we just approved, by the way.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, then Mr. Lawson.
Contracts are standard contracts, and they're in there.
What are dollar amounts in the fact
Mr.
sheet?
Lawson.
The dollar amounts are in the contract, Mr. Lawson.
Fact sheet that we operate off of now.
But see, we include the whole contract, so you don't have to go by
I'm
the
listening.
fact sheet.
Oh, you don't have to go there.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
The mortgage is paid by the hour, Mr. Lawson. You know that. Don't compare apples and oranges.
I'd like to
Be honest
also
about it.
direct the council's attention to section 408C1 of the charter, the personnel section. It states, only the following positions shall not be in the classified personnel system of the city. Under section 2, under C, it says the city clerk and the secretary to the city clerk. Thus, the council only has 2 unclassified employees under the charter. If you want to create additional positions, those are going to have to be classified, and accordingly, the appointing authority will be the mayor. He'll be the person to hire those prospective positions you intend to create.
Mr. Johnson, section
Section
2-15.
408C1, C2, Mr. Loss.
Mayor hires the council employees.
The council only has 2 unclassified employees. The section says, only the following positions shall not be in the classified personnel system of the city. C2, the city clerk and the secretary, that would be Nancy and Donna. Any other positions that you wish to create are going to be classified, and the mayor is going to be the appointing authority.
I must not have read the charter.
Yeah, I don't think you read that far.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, section 2-15 of the charter under submissions of
Familiar with
ordinance to the mayor, paragraph D. States
Oh, yes, I didn't,
that the council can establish compensation, create staff, agencies of officers for the council, or those ordinances requiring council action pursuant to the petition, this charter, the general laws of the state which the council has received specific approval to enact following a referendum vote to the people.
You gotta do
And
that.
and that happened.
We've already done that.
No,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Chairman, that happened years ago. This same thing that y'all are proposing happened, and it went to court. The whole thing went to court. And guess what happened? Guess what the people voted on to create new positions in the council by the council?
Okay, Mr. Fowler.
I believe that was 67, 68, somewhere along there. Is that not correct? 80, I don't remember when it was. I remember it, I got a long memory. But anyway, I mean, that bill's already been run. I mean, if we want to do it, we got to do it the same way that we did it before. And if we do it by referendum, which is called for in the charter, we can do that. Another point of order is that when these 2 items came up last meeting, those items were pulled and sent to committee. There was a motion. I made the motion. Mr. Marshall seconded, and it was unanimously accepted. Those items are pulled. They need to be reintroduced. They're not introduced, and they're not on the agenda officially, no matter however it's written. If you read the minutes of the meeting, those items were pulled. And
You
so,
requested that they be sent to the legal committee.
no, sir. I requested that they were pulled and sent to committee for discussion, is exactly the wording. You can go back and listen to the tape. I think the minutes reflect that accurately, that the items were pulled and sent to committee. So they're not even officially on the agenda and can't be voted on tonight. Yeah, you can check with any of, we got lots of attorneys here, you can ask any of them.
But it's official on the agenda if you look at it.
Doesn't make any difference. You can't undo an act of this body, and you voted for it, so.
Anyway, Mr. Chair, whatever we need to do, I disagree if the administration thinks we don't have the right to hire via contract. What I'm suggesting as an internal auditor, I vehemently oppose that.
Mr. Lawson, we're not opposed to that. The charter specifically states that the auditor for the city shall be under the council. We're not stating that at all. We're just trying to point out, and the issue keeps getting switched up, that
Okay,
nothing has been presented in the form of a final ordinance that the public can review or the administration can review, that isn't the proper way to conduct business. It's not how you conduct your businesses anywhere else, and that's what should happen. That's what should happen. The rule is that it be in final form, not that it
But
be...
you're not suggesting this council needs your permission to conduct its
Mr.
business.
Lawson, you keep changing...
You say for administration
No
review.
no one is suggesting that. The administration, like any citizen, let me restate that. Yes, I am suggesting that. I'm suggesting this council's business has to be reviewed by every person in this audience, Mr.
I don't
Lawson.
think you need to suggest that.
Well, then I'm one of those people, too.
Okay. But certainly not as a mayor, you're not entitled to.
I am a citizen, sir.
As a
Yes, I
citizen.
am.
Anyway, I'd like to move that the city council hire, do request for proposals for an internal auditor firm that will be reporting to the city council.
Okay, you put that in form of motion?
Yeah.
Move to second.
What is that, new ordinance? I mean, I don't,
It's an ordinance, title of the motion.
go to number 8.
Okay, item number, item
You
number
opposed to, I mean, let's leave the discussion if you're opposed to it, I want to hear. I mean,
I just, I don't see how we can vote on it tonight.
There's a motion on the table, I thought.
Okay, if we, in this process, if we would like to request our RFPs, we can do it by resolution.
Point of order. Okay.
Mr. Marshall.
It's a quorum you have for this committee, which is the legal committee. Mr. Lawson and Mr. Johnson. That's the quorum. All the rest of us are just sitting in this committee.
They voted.
Y'all voted for it to go before the full council,
right,
right?
and I don't know what we're talking
So
about.
what we talking about?
Moving on.
I just moved and he had a second that we request for proposals for internal auditor. What is the discussion?
Okay. Item number 8, to consider final adoption of an ordinance recommending administration to present any and all lawsuits that exceed $5,000 to be presented to the council for approval. Book item number 38.
Move.
Second.
Could I be heard on that, Mr. Johnson, before?
Yes, Mr. Johnson.
Before y'all emasculate my office. Gentlemen, I want to speak out against this ordinance. I want to say publicly right now that this is going to severely impair the ability of my office to efficiently resolve cases. I brought the list of claims against the city. Currently, there are 96 workers' compensation cases, 34 auto cases, and 56 general liability cases. Settlement negotiations normally track trial schedules. Civil trials in Rapides Parish are held on Mondays, so these 186 claims that we're talking about, we're going to have special session meetings on Fridays to discuss settlement authority. Every claim that exists against the city, gentlemen, I can tell y'all is worth more than $5,000. Nobody sues us for less than that. Even the workers' compensation cases where there's just medical bills involved, typically all of those are over $5,000. We have to discuss each and every one of those 96 claims before they can be settled. Now, ultimately, what's going to happen with this ordinance is it's going to end up costing the taxpayers more money because where my advice is rejected, the professional fees are going to escalate. We're going to have excess judgments that we're going to get hit with where my advice is rejected. And in certain cases, like workers' compensation cases, where you have specific deadlines where payments must be made to remain in good faith, we're going to be hit with penalties. If we can't get a quorum for these just massive number of meetings we're going to have, we'll be forced to try cases that should be settled without having any settlement authority, which is going to increase the liability of the city. I'm not sure personally who on this council is qualified to make these determinations about quantum. How many of y'all know how much a C6 lumbar strain is worth as far as liability is concerned? I think what the purpose of this ordinance, it defeats having attorneys in the first place if you're going to reject that advice and end the case. Every city attorney before me had this authority, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Nunley. None of them had their offices micromanaged like this. I can't wait to see how many of y'all are going to actually show up for all these meetings that we're going to have to be able to resolve these 186 cases. And as city attorney and as a citizen, I think this is bad policy, and the administration is opposed to it.
We have on the books presently, we do have ordinance on the books presently, but it's capped out at 100,000.
It's 100,000, that's correct.
Okay, so now, it's not that you think someone is picking on you, because we already have it on the books, and it's not like we didn't have it on the books. It just got scaled back to 5,000, so I want to clear that.
We have
Why don't we just
186.
change it to $1?
We have 186 cases.
Crazy.
that are worth more than $5,000, potentially worth more than $5,000. And how many meetings is it going to take for us to discuss? Are we going to take 20 at each meeting?
The problem is,
Mr. Lawson.
we don't know
I,
on none of them. We don't know what monies we spending, or the taxpayers' money we are spending on any of these cases. We do not know. That was the reason for the ordinance that we passed when we passed it before. And we still don't know. We know we got a hefty fund there, but we don't know what's being spent out of the fund. All we look at it at the end of the year when we do budget.
I have a...
Mr. Lawson, then Mr. Johnson.
in keeping with the theme of transparency, why don't we air it in the public? I mean, any claims are settled. If we text till 6 o'clock in the morning and then ends at 6 p.m., let's lay out there what they are. If it's a personnel issue and it's something of nature, we certainly want to impede your ability to do your job. But I came from a body where lawsuits were approved, 2 other governmental agencies, and to say this is going to slow us down, how many of these are actually court cases that you're talking about?
Potentially.
No. Ask how many are.
There are deadlines in all of them.
Okay, but how many are court cases?
All of them are court cases. You mean suits filed?
Are all of these going to court?
All of them are in litigation.
How many have actually gone to court? Okay.
Well, there's no court. If they're filed against the city, there's potential liability.
Certainly.
Just because a suit hadn't been filed, it doesn't mean that we don't have exposure.
Well, I called for the question.
Gentlemen, I also have a letter that I'd like the public to be aware of. Allen Parish, back in 2001, adopted a similar policy. This letter is to Andy Storr, who is our risk management adjuster. It's from Jeffrey Cole, who was the attorney at the time. It says, "Dear Andy, the school board gave you $25,000 in authority to settle this lawsuit." And I'm not going to state the name of the lawsuit. He says, "I was trying to save a little money and I offered the plaintiff $18,000. Plaintiff rejected that offer and then read to me from an article that appeared in the newspaper in which it stated that the school board had authorized your company to settle the claim for $25,000. The plaintiff told me he's currently mulling whether to accept that offer." So in that case, the plaintiff found out publicly about the offer. The attorney made a settlement offer which was lower, and they refused to accept it because they knew how much money the school board intended to spend ultimately. He goes on to say, "It's a little bit difficult to save anything off the settlement authority when the settlement authority appears in the newspaper."
Any other questions or comments? Recommendation?
This item also was pulled from the agenda, and it's lay over 2 weeks to be reintroduced.
I disagree with that.
Go read the minutes.
Doesn't matter, you can pull it, you send it to committee, and it's coming out with a favorable recommendation out of committee. Read Robert Rules of Order.
Was not
When it comes out of committee, it goes to the final.
What's the recommendation coming out of the committee, Councilman Lawson?
I move that administration bring all claims over $5,000 before the city council for final approval.
I so move.
Mr. Johnson, for clarification, are those going to be all in special session? If we're discussing liability, if there's litigation involved in all of these. All these are in litigation, going to have to all be.
It's gonna be our public access, Jim.
No, but
You're going to discuss the city strategy?
we do it just like we normally do insurance claims.
I think you're playing the intellect of the council. You think that we're going to discuss the personal injury of someone or the strategy of a case in open session? No, we said we're going to discuss the...
Except if it was personal.
I thought we said we're going to settle cases. This doesn't say about discussing the content of it. What does it say, discuss the content of it?
How would you arrive?
We're approving the settlement.
How are you going to decide?
Anyway, it passed,
How are you going to decide whether to settle the case if you don't know the facts of the case?
Gentlemen,
transparency.
can we have a conversation, one person speaking at a time, or in respect to the chair?
Anyway, it's passed, actually, we moved the meeting.
Okay, one of the clerk asked for clarification on item number 7 in regards to your recommendation, Councilman Lawson.
Yeah, I want us to request for proposals for internal auditing firms to be hired to work on behalf of the council to audit the city books.
Item number 7, in reference to the ordinance.
Yeah.
We also,
Yeah, the order, yeah, it's been moved and seconded.
the budget item has been moved.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
It's 2.
Okay, if nothing else to come before this committee, legal committee is adjourned. New economic development.
What's next? Okay. I think we have Economic Development Committee. Yours truly, President, Mr. Silver, Mr. Smith is absent.
We're going to have to delay them.
Oh, is it fine? We're having fun. That's why we have to do later, right? That's why we lay all these items over until the next meeting. In front of us. No, I'm proposing anything that is sensitive.
Alexandria City Council meeting will come to order. It's a regular council meeting. It's Tuesday, July 3rd, 2007. We have Father Thompson here. We'd like to ask him, would he do the invocation for us this evening? And I have the pledge by Mr. Fowler.
God, one holy triumph God, we come before you, thanking you for many things. Thankful that you awakened us this morning, making it possible to be here now. We ask that you open our minds to see the things that we need to see and making our will strong to the things we need to do. Because we know that all we do must be for your honor and glory. Guide and direct this council that they might be able to understand that they lead because you give them the chance to do so. You are the one in charge, and let them always be concerned about how they do, what they do, when they do, and why they do. Above all, though, increase their faith, their hope, and love. These things we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance.
We'd like to thank you, Father. Mayor, at this time, you have a presentation?
Hess, do you have the,
Executive session to do?
Mr. Hess, do you have the resolution upstairs? Go check upstairs. Presentation before that. Councilman, we would like to do a presentation. We have these from time to time, and this presentation is to Father August Thompson, who was recently recognized for a major milestone in his life. And I want to go over a couple of things about him and who he is and what he stands for. And I want to say, first of all, that it's a personal thing for me. There's a big argument, Father, in my family about whether you baptize me or my younger brother, Robert. I think it's Robert, but I'm not positive. You told me it was me, so I'll have to figure that out. My father and I have been arguing about it, but we can't remember. So I'll have to find out who it was. There's 5 boys, as you remember. You knew, you know all of us. Bishop Greco was a man of great vision, compassion, and wisdom in this area. And whether you're Catholic or not, people understood him to be a person of that vision, compassion, and wisdom. He was a leader and mentor for people who faced injustices and prejudice, and that is unfortunate, but that is something that exists in our world, and we know that very well. Father August Thompson is one of those individuals who was touched by Bishop Greco. Born in 1926 in Baldwin, Louisiana, Father Thompson's desire to be a priest came to him in his early teens. During his 3rd year of high school, he entered St. Augustine Seminary in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. And Father, I can tell you that by some miracle, Bay St. Louis, that part, that old part, is still somehow intact, whereas the rest of the city, if you've seen it, it was absolutely leveled. His journey to be a priest was long and difficult because very few seminaries would accept African-American men into their programs. After attending seminaries in, is it Techney, Illinois? In Techney, Illinois, Epworth, Iowa, and Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, Father Thompson was accepted by Bishop Greco to study for the Diocese of Alexandria. He entered Notre Dame Seminary in New Orleans in 1954 and was ordained in 1957. At that time, Father Thompson was one of only 50 African-American priests in the United States. That's in 1957, ladies and gentlemen. His first appointment was assistant pastor at St. Anthony Church in Cottonport. It was here that Father Thompson met the Sisters of Our Lady of Sorrows, who were also ministering in Cottonport. The sisters, who were from Italy and spoke little English, were often victims of discrimination as well. Being an African-American priest was a lonely life for Father Thompson. For more than a quarter of a century, Father Thompson was not allowed to live among the other priests. Some people would not accept Holy Communion from him because they did not want to touch his hand. Even with these indignities, Father Thompson persevered and set an example of humble yet strong courage. Throughout his 50 years in the priesthood, Father Thompson has been a champion for many minorities and undeserved organizations. He has lovingly served on the board of St. Mary's and remained a steadfast friend and spiritual advisor for the Sisters of Our Lady of Sorrows, the Sisters of the Holy Family of New Orleans, Sisters of St. Ursula of New York, and Sisters of the Handmaid of the Holy Child Jesus of Nigeria. Nationally, Father Thompson was one of the founders of the National Black Catholic Clergy Caucus and was the first African-American priest to serve on the National Federation of Priests Council. On Sunday, June 10, 2007, more than 1,000 people from throughout the state and nation gathered at the Alexandria Riverfront Center for Father Thompson's Jubilee celebration. His once lonely life is now filled with the love and respect of those who have been blessed to know and learn from this dauntless servant of our Lord, Jesus Christ. There was a document that was produced by Father Thompson, and I'm just going to tell him, and I'll make it available if anybody wants to read it. It's a deliverance newsletter, and it states who's in charge of the ball, Black Catholic leadership in the 21st century. I've read it. Father Thompson often says this. He is retired but not tired. So anyway, I would make that available to anybody. There is a resolution that we wanted to give to Father Thompson, too, from the city. I believe they have that now. Not them? Okay. Take a minute, Mr. Lawson, and I'll try to find out where his resolution is. One second. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen.
So long, Father Thompson had to carry 3 or 4 people, I understand.
The Lord can bless this mess.
You think that's unattainable prayer?
You take that white shirt off and sit down.
That your hair won't ever wear a collar like that.
Whatever it takes, I'll do. Thanks for all the help you've done for all of us, seriously. Getting all this word, you've done it.
This is the longest we've ever honored anybody.
Not only, Father, are you no longer lonely, you've had a standing room here for a little while. I have a proclamation here. The proclamation focuses less on religious items than it does your other contributions, which are very important. And I won't read through the whole thing because some of it is duplicative, but I want to say a few of them. Whereas Thompson, born July 7, 1926, has been a champion of minority rights, most particularly African-American justice in his church and elsewhere. And whereas he was ordained June 8, 1957 in St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans, Louisiana, and then it goes through your assignments. Whereas Father Thompson retired in June 1997 after 40 years of active ministry, but still continues to be a recognizable and meaningful force in Central Louisiana ministries. And whereas Father Thompson was one of 200 persons in 1966 to attend the White House Conference on Civil Rights, serving twice as vice president of the National Black Catholic Clergy Caucus, and was one of only 50 black priests in the country in the Dialogue for Justice in American Life. And whereas Father Thompson was a critical player in national politics and the move to locally implement integration in Central Louisiana, Now therefore, I, Jacques Roy, Mayor of the city, do hereby proclaim Friday, June 8th, 2007, as Reverend Father August Thompson Day. Thank you so much, Father. To say anything that they wish to, and then after that, Father, if you could briefly say a few words, it'd be fine with us.
I just say thank you, Father. You've certainly been a friend for years. We email buddies. We correspond regularly through email. It keeps me informed, but I don't know if you've ever retired. I just, you can't, you don't see a comma in the middle of his life. I mean, he just keeps going. And for that, I'm grateful, and I know Central Louisiana's been out for you. Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you, Father.
Thank you also, Father, because like Myron, I always see you all over the place. You know, I guess you and I about the same. We retired, but we keep going. We can't stop. And you've done such a great job. Thank you for all you've done.
Well, I met Father Thompson. He was ministering to the needs of a friend of mine that was about to pass away. He was a non-Catholic. And to see the comfort that he provided for this person was amazing to me. And that's when I met him in Myron for dinner. Thank you very much.
Father Thompson, I'd like to thank you for your commitment to this community, commitment to mankind, commitment to the church. And for those of you who don't know, this year commemorates 50 years of service for Father Thompson. And let's give him another round of applause for that.
I always think in terms of mathematics, and I think I calculated you're 81 years old, so you're a senior citizen like me. And by the same token, you're ready, willing, and continue to render a service to everybody, and that's the most important thing. You never stop. Don't ever do it. Good luck to you. God bless you.
Well, I thank all of you for what you've said. I many times feel as Jeremiah and Isaiah, and who always felt that God kind of duped them into doing what they did. And I think sometimes God duped me into doing the things that I keep doing, because I still haven't found out yet how you say no to people. There's always somebody calling, and I try to be able to, because I'm also afraid of the fact that also in the scriptures we hear about the shepherds who did not feed the sheep, and how God is saying, you thought about yourself only and not about the sheep. And that frightens me every time I have to read that and preach about it in the church, because I want to be able to be said that I was the shepherd who was concerned about the sheep. And so far, by the grace of God, this coming Saturday I'll be 81, and I will not stop until God tells me it's time. So thank you very much, therefore I appreciate this.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to, roll call. Okay, we'll go to D, roll call.
Mr. Marshall?
Present.
Mr. Fowler?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Present.
Mr. Lawson?
Certainly.
Mr. Silver? Mr. Smith? Mr. Hobbs?
Here. Okay, we'll go to E, with the land.
Right.
We're gonna delay E for 2 weeks. Okay, we'll now go to F, with the consent calendar. Anyone have anything?
What is the intent to review the recycling program? Can we send that to the committee?
That, I do know what that is. That is just a EPA reporting.
Oh, okay.
That
I don't
has
have
to
a
be
problem with that.
complied with and filed. It's already prepared, and we're just asking for the authorization to go ahead and file.
I have no problem with it. I'll move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Johnson. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We go to G, ordinance for final adoption subject to public hearing.
Item number 14, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept the low bid submitted for liquid chlorine for use by the water and wastewater departments.
Moved by Mr. Marshall, second by Mr. Johnson. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 15, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept the low bid submitted for annual contract requirements for water and wastewater system.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Marshall. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 16, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept the low bid submitted for janitorial chemicals for a 6-month period.
Moved by Ms. Marshall, second by Mr. Silver. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 17, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept the low bid submitted for striping of public streets and other public properties.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Silver, second by Mr. Marshall. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 18, to consider final adoption of an ordinance declaring certain substation equipment as surplus property and no longer needed by the Electric Distribution Department.
Moved by Mr. Marshall, second by Mr. Johnson. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 19, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the purchase of Jefferson Parish preventive maintenance contract for Motorola equipment.
Moved by Mr. Marshall, second by Mr. Silver. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 20, to consider final adoption of an ordinance declaring K-9 police dog named Rex as surplus property and not needed for any public purpose, and authorizing deposit of said property to its current handler in lieu of surplus sale or euthanasia. Thank you.
Second.
Moved by Mr.
Rex is
Fowler,
gonna
second
live,
by
huh?
Mr. Johnson. Discussion, all in
It's
favor?
interesting.
Opposed?
That
Motion
wasn't a good
carries.
alternative for him. We couldn't do it.
Yeah. 21, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Sinlaw Pride, doing business as Keep Sinlaw Beautiful, represented by Betty Jones as its duly authorized officer.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Silver, second by Mr. Johnson. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 22, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to exercise the city's option to renew the existing contract with Yankee Clipper for Compton Park landscape maintenance service for a period of 12 months.
Second.
Discussion.
Second by Mr. Marshall, second by Mr. Fowler. Discussion.
I'm going to say it again. I've said it probably for the last 3 years. I think Compton is a very beautiful park. I get a chance to go around there and exercise every now and then. I also exercise around other parks. I want to know when we're going to bring every park in the city up to the level that Compton's enjoying. We certainly don't want to minimize what the experience is over there. I think we ought to increase it. The same token, I think that other parks are desperately in need of the same type of attention. I'd like to see something from the administration, a director, and that will enable us to bring the other parks to the level of enjoyment that Compton Park is. And I think we talked about last meeting, probably contracting out some of the parks. We're just kind of stretched thin with personnel we have and being able to try to maintain it. I think it's a good concept. It may even be a concept in which we can save money. But Bolton Avenue, Mr. Marshall told me that was a park. I didn't know that.
That's Mockingbird Park.
I didn't know that. But all of our parks, whether it's Frank O'Hara or whether it's Helen Black or whatever case it may be, we need to bring them up to the level of Compton Park. So I'd like to see something. as to
One
how
of
we're
the
going
things
to
that's
do it.
made that park work so well is the community involvement that we have there. It's, as you know, it's surrounded by homeowners, and the homeowners that surround it use it almost daily. The whole group, Larry Acosta namely is one of them, and several others. And the first indication of anything that's out of place or anything like that, either report it to me or to the mayor or somebody, and I report it to your sister, and it gets taken care of. And I think that that's one of the things that we need to work on in conjunction with having qualified people maintain the parks for us, whether it be our own folks or contracted out. But to have the community involvement in those parks and the folks staying there and being willing to take the hits when unpopular things have to be done and people have to be cited. I mean, they cited a bunch of friends of mine, kids, for doing wrong things out there at night. But, you know, I think we got it straightened out now. I think the community involvement is very important, and it can't be just on the backs of us, the administration, and law enforcement. It has to be four-way. It has to be the citizens out there helping us too.
Mr. Lawson, I use that park also, walking there almost every morning of the week and very early in the morning. And the Exchange Club has adopted that park, and they keep it up. And I can tell you they're a group of men led by John Cutler, who's just a citizen, and he's out there at 5 o'clock in the morning with a trash bag, walking through the park and the parking lot adjacent to the park, picking up trash and debris, straightening up the trash cans and that sort of thing. So there is a lot of civic involvement over there, and those men do a fine job every morning, very early before the sun comes up.
And then during the school year, Nagman School does some of the same stuff. So they have a lot of community involvement in that park.
And I think there's a lot of involvement in other parts. I know Mr. Trowell is very active in the Samtown, along with Reverend Lionel Smith and so many of us, and what goes on out there. And I know we just completed air conditioning park out of Franco Hunter, but my thing is maybe we need to invest in private care of these parks to give them the appearance such that folk will continue to keep it at the level in which it is maintained, because those parks are utilized. I just don't think we give it the attention, the attention it needs.
I agree with you there, Mr. Lawson, because Mr. Smith calls me quite frequently about Harmon Park, and that Mr. Jackson that discusses selling Black Park. I think we got community involvement in all of the parks, but I think maybe they're not getting as, like we're talking about here with Yankee Clipper doing the maintenance on the park. Whereas maybe we might want to look at maybe spreading that around to the other parks throughout the city. And I know, like Darren, when you brought up the issue earlier in committee about the Bolton Avenue and doing the work around the community centers, our city crews they're just not big enough to take care of all of that. So we have to maybe farm some of it out, but we've got some good guys in that area taking care around the community centers. So, I'd like to see it extended also.
And one last thing, not only that, maybe our medians, Mayor Holden in Baton Rouge just adopted contracting out the medians like Corporate Boulevard, the main thoroughfares, to make sure they have an appeal. So I'd just like to see something to see if it is something that we can afford to do and if it makes good sense in the near future. So we'll have to still wait.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 23, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to exercise the city's option to renew the existing contract with Greens Park Service for landscape maintenance services for Rapides Trail for a period of 12 months.
So moved by Mr. Martin, second by Mr. Johnson. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
24, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing acceptance of the dedication of a 15-foot wide utility servitude located in a 1,599-acre tract of land owned by Paul Maxwell on Broadway Avenue.
Move. Second.
Moved by Mr. Martin, second by Mr. Johnson. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
25, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a quitclaim deed for a lot or parcel of ground located in Section 32, Township 4 North, Range 2 West, located in Calhoun Commercial Park 1.
Move. Second.
Moved by Mr. Morris, second by Mr. Fowler. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
26, to consider final adoption of an ordinance amending the professional services agreement with Herschel Lonadier for his services as a right-of-way agent and planner for the City Planning Division.
Move.
Second. Moved by Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Marshall. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
27, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to exercise the city's option to renew the existing contract with Alpine Lawn and Landscape for landscape maintenance services for assorted public facilities for a period of 12 months.
Move. Second.
Moved by Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Marshall. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
28, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing acceptance of street and drainage improvements for Villa Rochelle subdivision Phase 1, 2, and 3.
Move. Second.
Moved by Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Marshall. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
29, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing acceptance of a subdivision filing plat for Villa Rochelle Phase 3, lots 26A, 37, and 38.
Move. Second.
Moved by Mr. Marshall, second by Mr. Johnson. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
Number 30, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing acceptance of a subdivision plat for Albertson Subdivision Unit Number 1 for Lot 2A and Lot 2B.
Move. Second.
Moved by Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Marshall. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
Mr. President, item number 31 and 32 have both been extended for 1 month, and they'll be referred back to the legal committee.
Second.
Silver, second by Mr. Marshall. Extended for 30 days?
No, we have 1 month.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
And number 33, 34, and 35 have all been delayed for 2 weeks. So we go to 36, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Caddo Parish to allow the purchase of vehicles from the city.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Silver. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
Number 37, to consider final adoption of an ordinance amending the 0708 operating budget to create positions in the city council office.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Marshall, second by Mr. Johnson. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed?
Me.
Need a roll call? You got it.
I'll take
You
one.
got it?
Silver. He said, no. Silver and Fowler, no. Right?
What were the yeas?
We have roll call vote. Just,
Mr. Marshall? Mr. Fowler?
Nope.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Mine is not a position versus, I guess it's contractual. That's what I'm interested in. We had picked that up on another motion, am I correct?
Right.
Okay, the other position, I guess would be contractual.
yes or no is all you got to say.
Yes?
Mr. Silver? No. Mr. Smith is absent. Mr. Hobbs?
Yes.
You have 4 yeas, 2 nays, and 1 absent. So it passes. Number 38, to consider final adoption of an ordinance recommending the administration present any and all lawsuits that exceed $5,000 to be presented to the council for approval.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Marshall, second by Mr. Lawson. Discussion.
I'd like to amend that, propose an amendment to remove the $5,000 and just say all lawsuits, because every lawsuit that we have is above $5,000. And I wouldn't want to have one that came in at $4,999 and we'd not be able to hear it.
Second.
That's been,
Moved by
moved
Mr.
by
Fowler.
Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Lawson, amended to remove the
5,000.
5,000 and make it all.
Right.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
I'm
Wait.
opposed.
That was stupid. What you did?
No, sir, it wasn't, Steve.
Okay, now you need to vote on the original motion as amended.
Okay. We need a, I need a motion on the original motion.
Did Mr. Fowler, did you vote yes or no?
I voted yes on that, I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, a vote on the original motion as amendment, made by Mr. Marshall, seconded by Mr. Lawson.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed?
No.
Fowler, no. Silver? No. Okay. Same thing. All right.
Go to H2 committees.
Finance Committee, Mr. Lawson.
Okay, I have a resolution co-sponsoring certain youth sports teams for the city of Alexandria. And some on occasion, a youth sports team being named Louisiana State Champion. The city will co-sponsor said team and contribute not to exceed $2,500 to offset the expenses of the said team when playing in a regional and national tournament whose venue is outside the city of Alexandria. I move, and I think that's a great resolution. It's a resolution.
It didn't come out of committee.
Okay. I move.
Does
It was
it?
in committee?
No, it was not.
What is it now?
Resolution giving $2,500 to teams when they're playing in national tournaments or regional tournaments.
It was passed before. The council has done it before, and if we have somebody that goes up,
You're cleaning it up.
Yeah.
Is there any objections?
I just want to make sure we're clear. This is only regional, it's not including the state.
We didn't get a second.
It says when playing regional and national
I think
tournaments.
it was done just to make sure that
Get a
a
second.
team that would have complied with that previous resolution would be allowed to do it, so maybe the legal office, did y'all word it real specifically or something? If another team came, we would do the same thing, just present a note, we wouldn't exclude any team.
In other words, what we're saying is that,
Right, we would
in other
never
words,
exclude.
what we're saying is, any team that's leaving central Louisiana, going on with the state, national, whatever,
That's what's clear on it, it doesn't say state, it says regional.
Well, let's amend it. Can we amend it to add the word state? I also move to amend to add the word state.
First, we gotta get a second on the first.
I may open it up, we got a lot of teams that go to state, but that's
Okay.
fine.
Second, Ms. Fowler, second, okay. Okay, we moved on to second. Moved by Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Lawson.
Did we get a second on the original
Yeah, we
motion?
got a second, Fowler, second.
Okay. Now take a
Okay, and
vote.
all in favor? Opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
Public Works Committee, Mr. Silver.
This is authorizing the city of Alexandria to assist the city of Pineville with mosquito abatement prior to the July 4th fireworks over Lake Bulow event. This was recommended at our meeting today. I move that.
Need a
That
second?
was a resolution, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, all in
Resolution.
favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Second is a resolution declaring that special council meetings shall be broadcast for a period of 2 weeks on the government access channel immediately following the broadcast of a regular council meeting.
Begins with the June 12th meeting. That's what that says.
And that begins with the June 12th meeting, that special meeting date is June 12th.
Okay, I'd like to offer amendment to that. That all council meetings starting today and in the future be aired on the Access Channel for a minimum of 2 weeks to the next following council meeting. Second. Moved by Mr. Lawson, second by,
In other words, you're going to amend it to not show the June 12th meeting?
I meant to start today.
No, I'm asking you if you're amending it specifically not to show.
I amended it to start today and into the future. That's what we're doing. All
to
in
not
favor?
show the June 12th meeting.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Mr. Lawson? Mr. Silver?
No.
Mr. Smith is absent. Mr. Hobbs?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Fowler?
Nope.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
So you have 4 yeas, 2 noes, and 1 absent. The resolution passes.
Those are all for public works.
Legal Committee, Mr. Smith is absent. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a resolution authorizing advertisements for RFPs for an internal auditor position for the city council office. Second.
Well, Lawson, Mr. Johnson.
These are the city officers that
Sit up. So then.
will work with the council and the administration.
Nothing else come before legal.
Let me take a vote.
All in favor? All
No.
Ditto.
Silver and Mr. Fowler voted no.
I want to understand, I'm not arbitrarily voting no, but I mean, we haven't got an intelligent presentation until such time it becomes clear. I cannot in good conscience vote for it.
We were just requesting a proposal.
I know what I know, but I'm proposing the same thing.
Utility Committee, Mr. Fowler.
No report.
Community Development, Mr. Marshall.
No report.
Personnel, Mr. Johnson.
No report.
Public Safety, Mr. Marshall.
No report.
A&E Review, Mr. Fowler.
No report.
Economic Development, Mr. Lawson.
Yes, I had an agenda item discussed from the Louisiana Business League on the fair share program. I didn't know that the mayor was prepared to make a presentation. I think we need to hear the presentation. If council will afford us opportunity, here to give this presentation. I think we have a few league members indulge the mayor today.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. This is a matter that we discussed at the 200th day address recently. I have talked to business league members about it. This is not really a business league matter. It's a request of the council be resolved today to memorialize the city's intent to formulate, provide legislation for, and implement a small and emerging business development program, and for any policy or ordinance amendments to existing legislation related thereto. This is an item that we were working on from the transition team, and indeed, some of the league members were on that team, including Mr. Johnson, who is president of the league. It was identified as a real need in the city. The city currently has Section 1035 of the City of Alexandria Code of Ordinances. And I'm just going to read through the whereases, gentlemen, because it actually traces the history. Whereas Section 1035 of the City of Alexandria Code of Ordinances currently provides authority for small business, minority, and women assistance in the procurement of city goods and services. And whereas changes in law, and particularly precedent of the United States Supreme Court in 2 landmark cases, gentlemen, City of Richmond versus J.A. Croson in 1989, that was the same year but later that this council or previous councils had adopted similar legislation, and then in 1995, the landmark decision of Adiran versus Pena, require modification to all policies and goals of the City of Alexandria since Section 1035 was enacted. And again, that enactment was prior to those decisions. And what we would propose from the administration is that the council adopt the following findings of fact, some of which dovetail things that were previously found, but a considerable amount of items which are different, and I'll go through those quickly. In prior recent years, small businesses, including but not limited to minorities and women, were effectively denied the opportunity for full and equal participation in city purchases of goods and commodities. We amended what was there to add a focus on small business that would include both minorities and women. These cases require that instead of a focus being solely on what we call a suspect class issue, where that's the predominant or only factor, that you look at it broadly, and that's what we've done. that the opportunity for full and equal participation by such entities is essential in order to promote, obtain, and maintain economic equality for such persons and improve the functioning of our local economy, capitalizing on diversity and creating broader sustainability by expanding industry and business in Central Louisiana. That was added by Ms. Jennings, who is the Workforce Development Officer, and myself. We think that is an appropriate memorialization to make. That such conditions can be improved by providing the equal opportunity for the development of the business concerns owned by small business persons, minority persons, and women. That such development can be materially advanced through the procurement by the city of articles, equipment, supplies, and materials from such business concerns. That such procurements also benefit the city by encouraging the expansion of business, thereby creating jobs and promoting economic opportunities for the citizenry, which may not have existed prior to such diverse procurements and service requirements. This was an item added by Ms. Jennings and me to this scheme that we want to do, or statutory scheme that we would like the city to enact in an ordinance. Now, these are some items, gentlemen, and we think this is important. I know today has gone long, but this is really something that I would have liked to have announced on a day where we had more time so that the citizens can follow this. It's extremely important, some of the technical aspects of changes that we've made and what this will do for the city. We believe that in order to comply with these new decisions, you will have to authorize a disparity study, a disparity and identification study. Townships and cities that have not done that, and if you look at this Crozon case to now, run the risk of being constitutionally infirm, or I guess that's a fancy way of saying they can't be done and somebody can challenge it. What we want to do is make this happen the first time the right way. So what we would recommend is that you adopt this language, that if gross statistical disparities exist in Alexandria, such disparities provide proof of a pattern or practice of institutional or actual discrimination. And what that means for the citizenry is, it's not always a case of somebody actively doing something, but it can be. It can be. But there are institutional barriers to people having access. And those things can happen sometimes without citizens even realizing it. It happens right under your proverbial nose, as people say. And for whatever reasons, people either don't recognize it, don't realize it at the time, or are scared or don't have the means to come forward and do something about it. And so this addresses some of those things. But in order to substantiate and develop a community-based picture of our community, we need to have and authorize disparity studies, and we're requesting that you take that legislative action. I feel confident that the council, of course, will. It goes on, I've gone through 6 of them. It goes on through some 14 different findings. And the gist of those later findings, gentlemen, is that we change how we had it broadly and make it so that you're comparing, you have a numerator and a denominator. You have a fraction on these things. If you have broad business concerns, workers who aren't specialized at all, then when you go to look at this in a disparity sense, you can compare all minority or women in the region and divide that by the total number of folks out there. But when you have specialized matters, you talk about our engineers, and this program will address all of that, gentlemen. It's not just about procurement of articles for the cities or vendor issues. It's also about who we do business with through RFPs, who we do business with through professional service agreements. It would address all of those things. And so there are some 14 findings in that regard. If you ask me to read it into the record, I will. If you will allow me to, I will skip forward to some of the meat of it and we can get moving. Is that okay? Okay. The purpose, of course, is to promote the competitive viability of small business, minority business, and women business enterprise by providing contract, technical, educational, and management assistance. This is nothing new. This is a different situation than a historical set-aside program. This program is a lot more about collaboration and partnering and bringing people to the table so that they can work with others and move forward. It's also to promote business ownership by small business persons, minorities, and women, to provide for the procurement of city articles, equipment, supplies, and materials. We want to ensure that if there are local groups out there who can supply these materials, that they have an equal say and share at the table of providing city services. So we would ask that you allow us to formulate, recommend legislation for, and implement modeling for this program. Some of the things we want to do are reservations and aspirational goals. We need to have things that we seek to do or seek to get to, and then we need to have things that are more of what we would call a requirement or a reservation. There are lots of different things, gentlemen, that are required in these. The city of Shreveport, which has a fair share program, is different than what this one is. The city of Shreveport adopted a program that's a small business program, but it is what we would call race or minority neutral as opposed to race conscious. And these are all terms that we'll get familiar with as we work through it, but the bottom line is the more you make those items factors, in other words, race is a factor, gender is a factor, age, those kind of things, and not the predominant or only factor, the better chances you have of making programs like this pass the constitutional test that it has to pass after these two landmark cases. So the more inclusive you are and the more across the board, it can be better, and that depends. Shreveport's program is race neutral. This program is a hybrid program. This program is race neutral on the front end. It's race neutral on the front end, but there are some teeth that we put into it. For example, we're going to require that contractors certify to do business under this, that they are being race neutral themselves. That's one way. The other thing is, when the disparity studies come out, we will have a sliding scale that reflects it. That will be race conscious at some point. There will be things that we can do. Shreveport, I believe, is 25%, I want to say. In this program, and I'm looking at Daphne Robertson in the audience who's worked with me on some of these things as an attorney for the city. What I did was made it 15 to 10%. So as high as 15 now, as low as 10%. There's a state statute that says if you enter these programs, they need to be 10%. Doesn't require it. It means they basically aren't entering into them unless they are at least 10%. What I propose with this hybrid form is that we look at what we can implement now, and that you authorize by this resolution, you will be allowing us to do that through Ms. Jennings. It also provides for in state law, and that's all listed in it, it's very detailed, that in addition to Ms. Jennings, the fiscal officers for the city, who are David Crutchfield as the Director of Finance, and Mr. Joe Despina in purchasing, have to follow things. To skip through a little more, there are teeth in this, Mr. Lawson. It actually goes into requirements that it be done. There's certification and eligibility, and that would be something that is done by state law. You get your program certified. There are ways to have a DBE certified, but then they also have to register with the city. We want to make sure that we're tracking it from the city's end. We also have an affidavit program where companies sign on an affidavit so that you have somebody stating under oath that they're going to do these things if they want to participate in this. And the importance of that is if they don't, it provides us the ability to make a recommendation to this council to debar or decertify those businesses that don't want to comply or say that they're going to comply and then don't. Most importantly, and I can finish up, procedures to ensure equal opportunities. We will establish and maintain a directory to facilitate the identification of small businesses, minority and women-owned businesses, according to their capabilities. This whole thing will be about minorities and women businesses, women-owned businesses that are ready, willing, and able to do it. In other words, the important thing that happened after these cases, regardless of how people feel, some people have strong feelings one way or another about them, but what the cases establish is that you have to be ready, willing, and able. Now, does that mean if you want to do contracting and you can't get bonding, that means you're not ready, willing, and able? Well, the suggestion that I make is we ought to have a bonding program that goes right along with this. And that way we allow people, if that's their only impediment, it's through institutional or whatever other reasons, they're just not able to get bonding, but they're in every other way capable and ready to do business, we ought to be able to do something about that. And we can. And state law already allows us to have a bonding assistance program. And that's part of what we want to do here. We want to implement informational programs on opportunities and procedures. We want to arrange solicitations within these reservations that we'll talk about at another meeting to better facilitate the participation of small business. So the whole point of this is that we're, in addition to pre-bid conferences and all those things that you do, The city will engage from its end in partnering with folks to teach